two, one.
Hello and good morning. Happy wild card weekend. The games actually kick off later today. We have 3 days to cover 6 games that will decide the first 6 winners in the 2025 NFL season playoffs. So let's dive in. We are going to go one game at a time. I'm going to talk about the games and give you my picks. Last week I went 9-7 in picks against the spread, which was pretty good. This week, just going to be picking winners and talking about the playoff games. A lot of coaching moves were made in terms of letting coaches go. Mike McDonald out in Miami, John Harbaugh out in Baltimore. Those were among the more surprising. Raheem Morris out in Atlanta, Jonathan Gannon out in Arizona. A lot of moves were made. Atlanta obviously cleaning house, got rid of their general manager, as well as teams start hiring new coaches. There are now currently 8 openings for head coaches, including the Titans, the Giants, the Las Vegas Raiders also moved on from Pete Carroll. So there is going to be a lot of excitement that we will cover. And when hirings get made, I will talk about those. But this week, with nobody officially getting hired yet, we are just going to focus on Super Wildcard Weekend. And it kicks off this afternoon with the 12-5 Los Angeles Rams at the 8-9 Carolina Panthers. This is the 4-5 matchup in the NFC. The Rams are favored here. There are 4 road wild cards that are favored this weekend. The Rams are the biggest favorite among those. 10.5 points is the line. On paper, this should be the easiest matchup to pick. The Rams have been great this season. They're coming in hot. They might be the most dangerous team, wildcard team in the whole league, AFC or NFC. The Panthers kind of backed into the playoffs, 2 straight losses in must-win games at home. They got in thanks to a tiebreaker. And yet, if we're being honest, the Panthers have a chance. They're at home, a place where they beat the Rams 31-28 on November 30th. That's not that long ago. The Rams should be getting Devontae Adams back, and they plan to lean on him, Puka Nacua, and their MVP candidate, Matthew Stafford. That should be a winning formula. The Panthers, though, will need to hope that Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard can get it going on the ground, and Bryce Young can find some magic connecting with Ted McMillan. Those are the things they did to beat the Rams earlier this year. If Young struggles again, it's going to be hard for the Panthers to even keep pace. 10.5 might be too big of a spread, but I am still taking the Los Angeles Rams. The nightcap also features a wildcard team that is favored, and that is the 7th-seeded 9-6-1 Green Bay Packers. They are -1.5 at the 2-seeded 11-6 Chicago Bears. Most surprising favorite among wildcards to me is probably the Packers, or the next game we're going to talk about. They were preseason Super Bowl favorites, but they really faded badly down the stretch. They're coming into the playoffs having lost 4 straight games. Injuries didn't help. But the Packers did lose the last time they were in Chicago. Now, people would argue they built a lead and they looked pretty good in that game, and it took an epic comeback from the Bears. But the Bears did come back, and they did get that big touchdown in overtime. They did win 11 games. They did win the division. They are at home, and they're the number 2 seed. I'm sure they probably would have preferred to play someone other than the Packers in the playoffs, but I think Caleb Williams is getting it together when it matters most. These Bears are hungry. The Packers, they're counting on everyone coming back healthy and that being enough, but I think it might just be Williams' time to shine. I am taking the Chicago Bears to win and advance. On to the Sunday morning games, and this is another one where the wildcard team is favored. The number 6 seed Buffalo Bills finished 12-5. Number 3 seed Jacksonville Jaguars finished 13-4 and seem to be chronically underrated. The line is the Bills -1.5. Now, should the Jaguars be favored at home? They probably should, but it's not a huge surprise that Josh Allen is getting the love here. The Jaguars have been the most under-the-radar team all season, despite some quality wins and a great late-season run. The Bills, meanwhile, were expected to be here. They were expected to be a top seed, and in fact, this being a 6 seed going on the road as a wild card team, probably a little underwhelming to their fans. But the AFC is loaded at the top. They did get 12 wins, but that wasn't quite enough. The question is whether Liam Cohen can get Trevor Lawrence in a position to make a run, or whether Allen's going to look like the MVP that he has been the last few years and lead the Bills toward the Super Bowl in a year where Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson are not in the playoffs. It won't be easy, as the Bills will likely need to win 3 on the road to do it. But if you believe in Allen, this just might be his time to shine. You know what? Turns out I am a true believer. Despite it all, I am taking the Buffalo Bills in this game. One of the few home teams that's favored is the Philadelphia Eagles, and they are hosting the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers were the 6th seed, finished 12-5. The Eagles, the 3 seed, 11-6. This line open Eagles -4.5. It's up to 5.5. Now, I think that might be too many points, but look, the Eagles could have easily been the number 2 seed. The defending champions decided it didn't matter who they played, and they ended up resting starters in Week 18. That's fine as long as the offense finds its groove on Sunday. The 49ers, meanwhile, had a shot for home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and instead they'll have to hit the road as a number 6 seed and won't be home again unless they make it back to the Super Bowl. But that's not going to be an easy road. It would be better if the 49ers get Trent Williams and George Kittle and all of their players back in the lineup, but it doesn't look like it's a lock that's going to happen. The 49ers were dominated on both sides of the ball against the Seahawks last Saturday, and I can't get past that. Can they get the offense going, and can the defense hold up? Well, that's a big question, and if not, the Eagles could make it a very long afternoon. And something tells me the Eagles, as they have almost all season, will find a way to get it done. I don't know that I would take 5.5 points, but I am picking the Eagles to get the victory. Sunday night game is a pretty good one. This is the 2-7 matchup in the AFC. The number 7 seed, the Los Angeles Chargers, 11-6 at the number 2 seed, New England Patriots, 14-3. The Chargers had a strong season, winning 11 games, finishing as the second team in the AFC West for the second straight year. The Patriots, meanwhile, went from worst to first in the AFC East. They ended up tied for the best record in the NFL. These teams did not play in 2025, which makes their Sunday night clash a little bit of fun. Chargers rested starters in Week 18, not concerned with who they would play in round 1. The Patriots, meanwhile, fought hard to try and get the 1 seed, meaning they come in something on a roll. The Chargers need Justin Herbert to stand tall, something that has been a struggle for him throughout his career in the postseason. Patriots, meanwhile, have an aggressive MVP candidate in Drake May at quarterback, who's making his first playoff run. Look, I don't think the Patriots came this far to go home on Sunday night. This might be a competitive game. Patriots are favored by 3.5 points, which feels fair. They're the only other home team that's favored in this round, and I think they get it done. I am taking the Patriots to win. Final game of the weekend is Monday Night Football. This is the 4-5 matchup in the AFC. The Houston Texans are 12-5. They are at the 10-7 Pittsburgh Steelers. Texans are favored in this one, -3, and makes some sense. They finished very hot, winning their last 9 games. They finished with the league's top defense as well. Their offense has been uneven, but with CJ Stroud and Nico Collins and a good enough offense, they managed to get to 12 wins. The Steelers, meanwhile, had to go down to the wire to even qualify. They needed the Ravens to miss a 44-yard field goal to punch their ticket. Offense is a challenge at times for the Steelers, but so has been the defense. At least Aaron Rodgers gets DK Metcalf back for the playoffs. Still, it's hard not to like the cut and the aggression of this Texans team. They are favorites for a reason. I'm going with the Texans. So that is a look at the wild card weekend games and my picks. I'm taking the Rams over the Panthers. I am taking the Bears over the Packers, the Bills over the Jaguars, the Eagles over the 49ers, the Patriots over the Chargers, and the Texans over the Steelers. So if you're keeping track, that is 3 wild cards and 3 home teams getting the win. That would set up some interesting matchups if it all plays out that way. The Bills would go to Denver, Houston would go to New England in the AFC. The Eagles and Bears would clash in Chicago, which makes that Week 18 tactic come a little bit under question for the Eagles again, while the Seahawks would host the Rams, which might be something of their nightmare. Those were two very close and competitive games, but that would make for a pretty great divisional round if it comes to pass. We'll see how things go. And I will be back next week to preview the divisional round. Until then, enjoy some playoff football.